The Adventures of Jade and Friends. Jade visits the circus. Introduction. Follow the adventures of Jade, the magical dragon. She is mischievous, as are most dragons of her age, and she seeks adventure wherever she goes. Jade is a loving little dragon who knows what it is to care and share with her friends. Come with her to the Lost Land in her bid to rescue Opal the clown. Jade lives in a kingdom of fantasy and make-believe, always seeing the magic in everything. Her best friend is Lightning, who just so happens to be a unicorn. Together, they create their own adventures. She and her friends will take you on a magical journey that you will never forget, through magic portals and fairy tale dreams. Her magic nose needs only to twitch, and she can be carried away to kingdoms far beyond that which she lives. From talking tigers to magic air bubbles, she will show you all she has to offer. Early one morning, Jade was eating her breakfast and thinking about what she could do today, when Lightning came rushing to the door. He seemed really excited and was out of breath where he had run so fast. He had wanted to tell Jade the wonderful news. She looked at her friend and asked, "What is the matter?" "The circus is in town," he said, trying to catch his breath. Jade's face lit up with excitement. She said she would go and ask her mom if she could go. Quickly, off she went and found her, asking very nicely if she could go to the circus with Lightning if his dad said yes. Her mummy was a little concerned, as she knew there would be lots of other woodland folk there too. But she said as long as she was careful and home for tea, that would be okay. The little dragon was so excited and made her way to the edge of the forest to wait for Lightning. She had been waiting there a long time and was getting a little impatient, because she wanted to go and see the magic clowns. Jade was kicking the leaves beneath her feet when suddenly, in the distance, she heard, roll up, come see the magic clowns and watch the animals dance in the ring." Jade had made her mind up that she didn't want to wait any longer, so she started making her way towards the purple poppy field, when she heard Lightning's voice calling, "Jade, wait for me!" When she looked behind, she could see Lightning running as fast as he could to catch up with her. The little dragon smiled and said, "I thought you weren't coming." He just smiled back and replied, "I wouldn't let you down," continuing, "Come on, let's fly there, it will be much quicker." So they both unfolded their wings and slowly they began to lift high above the clouds, giggling and talking as they went. Jade said, "I would like to be a clown in the circus." "Why?" asked Lightning. Jade started to explain that her daddy was a clown in the circus when he was a little dragon. He used to wear a big red nose that sparkled in the dark. "Wow," Lightning said, "that sounds like fun." The two friends finally arrived at the purple poppy field, but before they landed they soared above the tent, watching all the animals make their way into the forest from the forest. Lightning and Jade decided to land and go in so they could get a ringside seat. As they entered the large tent, they could see the other animals taking their seats. They were all laughing with excitement. The two of them had just sat down when suddenly all the lights went out and there was a big puff of blue smoke. As it cleared, there, in the middle of the ring, stood the ringmaster, and he was wearing a wonderful yellow coat that sparkled under the lights. Jade was so excited that she just couldn't sit still. The ringmaster said in a loud voice, "Girls and boys, welcome to the most amazing show in the kingdom." Lightning looked at Jade and whispered, "I can't wait to see the clowns." Just as he had said that, three of the most colourful clowns that had ever been seen came tumbling out from behind the huge pink curtains. They were carrying buckets of water and throwing it amongst the crowd. Jade had been standing on her seat for a better look when suddenly one of the clowns asked her if she would like to join in with them. She was so excited that she quickly agreed, and before the little dragon knew it, She was inside the large ring that was filled with sawdust. The clowns told Jade their names were Goldie, Sapphire, and Topaz. She was about to tell them her name when Sapphire added, "We already know who you are." "Oh," she gasped, looking very surprised. "How do you know who I am?" Topaz explained that they used to perform with her daddy many years ago. Jade quickly asked what she could do to help. Goldie looked sad and replied, "We need 4 clowns to make up our act, but as you can see, we only have 3. "That's all right," Jade replied. "I will help if I can." "That will be great," said the 3 clowns. Jade was told by Topaz to go backstage at the end of the show and ask for the 3 clowns. Jade asked if she could bring her best friend Lightning as well. "Of course you can," said Goldie. "The more the merrier," added Sapphire. Jade returned to her seat next to Lightning and started to watch the rest of the show. Lightning asked her what the clowns had said to her, to which she replied, "You will just have to wait and see. I have a surprise for you." The 2 friends watched the rest of the show, clapping and cheering as loud as they could at the end. When all the other animals started to leave, Jade looked up at Lightning and said, "Follow me." Jade made her way to the large pink curtain and was just about to go behind them when Lightning called out, "We can't go behind there, it's not allowed." Jade looked at her friend and said, "Don't worry, I've been told that we can." Lightning just shook his head and followed Jade, although he was not very sure he should. When they opened the curtain, they couldn't believe their eyes, because there in front of them sat a really big tiger in the corner. He was talking to the ringmaster and saying how well he thought the show had gone. Jade gently interrupted. "Excuse me, please can you tell me where to find the clowns? I was told to come here after the show." "Hello," replied the ringmaster. "My name is Stargazer, and this is Toby, my pet tiger." "Pleased to meet you," she replied. Stargazer showed them where the clowns were. However, they were so busy laughing at what they had done to each other, they didn't notice Jade and Lightning standing there. Suddenly, Topaz looked up with a big grin on his face and said, "Thank you for coming, Jade. This must be your friend." "Yes," she replied. "Lightning, meet Goldie, Sapphire, and Topaz," she said. As she introduced each of the clowns, Sapphire asked them if they would like to see the other animals. Both so excited they nodded their heads eagerly. They walked around completely amazed at all the creatures they could see. After a while, they turned to the clowns and asked them what had happened to the 4th one. Topaz began to explain that the evil wizard known as Wiz had cast a spell on Opal and had sent him deep into the land of lost clowns, never to be found again. The only way the spell would be broken was if a young dragon with plenty of imagination could travel to this land and bring Opal back. But the evil wizard had told us there would be no chance of this ever happening. Jade thought about this and said that she would be happy to go and bring Opal back where he belonged. The only problem was it seemed that Jade had no idea how to get to the land of lost clowns. Sapphire suggested that the one person they hadn't met yet was Madame Zola, the fortune teller. It was just possible that she would know how to help. The unicorn was quick to ask if they could go and meet her. The clowns looked at the excited Lightning and said, "Come with us." They walked through a tiny doorway and into a small room where Madame Zola was sat with a crystal ball in front of her. "My crystal ball told me you were coming. I will help if I can," she said. Madame Zola looked deep into her crystal ball and asked to help Jade and her friend to find Opal. Jade was totally amazed to think that the crystal ball could help, but she was curious, so she stayed silent. When Madame Zola had finished, she told Jade that if she had to really believe in what she was doing. Jade nodded and asked how they got to the land of the lost clowns. Madame Zola smiled and replied, "Hold hands with Lightning and twitch your nose, but hold on tight to each other. It might be a bumpy ride." Sapphire looked towards the two friends and said, "Please try and find Opal. We all miss him very much." Then, as if by magic, which of course it was, Stargazer and Toby appeared and said, "Take Toby with you on your journey. He will help you find Opal and keep you safe." "Thank you," Jade replied. "We will try our best." With that, the three of them held hands and Jade twitched her magic nose. Within a blink of an eye, they found themselves travelling through a dark tunnel. Although they could see no light, there was a strong wind blowing them all from left to right. Jade was really frightened, but Toby told her to be brave and that they would be there soon. Suddenly there was a big flash of light and they landed with a big bump on the floor. The floor felt strange, and as Lightning looked down he realised they had fallen into sawdust, just like they had seen in the circus ring. Jade was crying and refused to take her hands away from her face. "Jade," exclaimed Lightning, "don't be afraid. Uncover your eyes and look around you." Jade suddenly uncovered her eyes, and to her amazement, right in front of her were big balloons and a sign that said, "Welcome to the land of the lost clowns." She soon decided that there was nothing to fear and scrambled to her feet and said, "Let's start looking for Opal." Toby replied they must stick together so they would be safe. They walked towards the entrance and under the large sign. It came as a huge surprise to them all as to how many clowns were there and that they had looked so alike. Jade had noticed this too and asked Toby how they would know which one was Opal. Toby explained that every clown has a tear, but Opal has a diamond tear rolling down his cheek. As they continued to look around, they began to notice that not a single clown had a tear. "They must have all lost their tears," said Jade sadly. "How will we find Opal now?" Then, without any warning, a clown appeared behind them and said, "I am truly sorry for interrupting you, but I overheard your conversation." "Oh," Jade replied, "who are you?" Introducing himself, he said, "I am Glitter, and I was sent here by the evil wizard, Wiz." Glitter explained that when a clown was sent to the lost land, their tears rolled down their faces and created an ocean. He continued by saying that he hadn't seen this clown for a long time. Jade asked Glitter if the clown he was talking of had a tear made from diamond. "Why, yes," he replied, "but the last time we saw him, he was walking towards the ocean." Lightning knew the clowns were magical, but he couldn't understand why Glitter didn't use her magic to get back home. The clown told Lightning that when a clown loses his tear, he also loses his magic powers. Jade knew they had to continue on and find Opal, but before they left, Glitter told them to take care. The adventuring friends left Glitter thanking him for his help as they started on their journey. They were all very excited, and as they had never seen the ocean before, however, Lightning wasn't sure that what they might find. The three of them carried on, their spirits high. As Toby had said, you never know what is around the next corner, which was really quite funny, as they hadn't seen any corners. By now, Jade was getting tired of walking, so she came up with an idea. "Maybe we could ride to the ocean on a white fluffy cloud," she said. Toby looked curiously at his friend and asked how they would catch a cloud. The cheeky dragon just smiled, with a smile that lit up her pretty face, and replied, "That's easy." With a twitch of her magic nose, a big fluffy cloud gently fell to the ground. Toby was amazed and purred a beautiful loud purr. Jade told them to hop on and enjoy the ride. As they sailed over the land towards the ocean at a gentle speed, Lightning let out a cry. "Look over there! What is that sat on the rocks?" The others shrugged their shoulders and replied, "We don't know." Jade tapped her foot gently and the cloud slowly floated to the ground near the rocks. Jade called out, "Hello, my name is Jade." A small voice answered, I am Princess Moonshadow. But she was no ordinary princess. She was, in fact, a mermaid. Jade had never seen a mermaid before and was very curious. She asked the princess where she lived. I live in the Ocean of Tears with my father, King Zeptune. Jade was really confused and couldn't understand why Moonshadow had a fish's tail and not legs. It wasn't long before Jade asked her, though. Princess Moonshadow began to explain that because she lived in water and had to swim everywhere, she had her tail, and that helped her to glide through the water with her friends. But that sometimes she liked to come and sit on the rocks and enjoy the beautiful golden sunshine. Clearly, being the curious dragon that she was, Jade wanted to know more, and there were so many things, but for now the most important question to ask was about Opal. Have you seen a clown called Opal? He had a tear made from diamond. The princess looked at Jade and her friends, smiling broadly. Yes, I do. Follow me, she said, as she dived into the water, her beautiful silver tail glinting in the sunlight. I will take you to him. Jade twitched her nose and they found themselves enclosed in an air bubble. Toby was very frightened. He didn't like water. He couldn't swim. Don't be afraid. No water can get in, I promise, she said. Princess Moonshadow led them to a cave that was lit by a brilliant blue light, which seemed to come from two electric eels. In one corner of the cave sat someone else. Moonshadow looked at the three friends. This is my father, King Zeptune. He is the ruler of the ocean. Moonshadow told her father that her friends were looking for Opal the clown. The king looked very hard at Jade and said, I know where Opal is, but I am afraid that Moonshadow will not be able to take you any deeper. However, I have a friend that can help you. Who? Replied Jade in a squeaky voice. King Zeptune gave a short whistle, and within a few seconds a beautiful silver dolphin appeared. This is Dream Chaser, said Moonshadow. He can swim deeper into the ocean than I can. Jade asked the dolphin why he was called Dream Chaser, and was told I was given my name by King Zeptune because I help make dreams come true. Moonshadow asked Dream Chaser if he could take Jade and her friends to the old shipwreck where Opal had been trapped by Wiz, the evil wizard. Of course I can, he replied. It will be my pleasure. I was talking to Opal only today, and he said that he was very lonely. Jade by now was getting very excited and said, Let's hurry, there is no time to waste. Dream Chaser gently balanced the bubble on his nose and set off towards the shipwreck. They were gliding through the water faster than Jade had ever gone before. Lightning was gazing with wonder at all the creatures that were swimming alongside them. There seemed to be quite a gathering. Toby was watching the seahorses dancing along in the dazzling seaweed, talking and chattering as they went. The friends were going deeper and deeper down, and the further they went, the darker it became. Lightning was getting worried and started to panic. All he could say was, I don't like the dark. Let's turn back and go home. Don't panic, Lightning, Dream Chaser replied. I will call for Sparky, the electric eel. He will light the way. The dolphin gave a sharp click, and with that a light came up and rose up towards them from out of the darkness. Lightning calmed down and thanked them. He felt much better now. Sparky said it was not a problem and that he would help them light the way for as long and as deep as they needed. After a short time they arrived at the wreck deep at the bottom of the ocean. Jade asked Dream Chaser if he was coming with them, but he told them he would wait there as he was too big to get inside there. Please take care not to wake the octopus. He is very grumpy and good friends with Wiz, he said. With that, Dream Chaser pushed the bubble into the wreck. Jade was so excited about being inside the ship that she soon started to investigate the water-filled cabins, not quite sure what they would find. As they were looking, they heard a strange noise coming from behind a large grey door. Went the noise. We must be quiet, warned Sparky. The sound you hear is the octopus. Remember what Dream Chaser told us about disturbing him?" With that, they floated silently past the large grey door, whispering as they went. When they had made their way down the long passage, Jade decided that they should check behind the big blue door that she was pointing towards. Lightning asked Sparky if this was the room in which Opal was trapped, but he wasn't too sure, so he said, "I think the best thing to do is call his name first, in case we disturb any other creatures." Jade was a little bit nervous about this. She was scared they might wake the octopus up, but she softly called, "Opal, are you there? We have come to get you out." They waited for a while and there was no reply. Lightning suggested he may be sleeping and to call a little louder. Once again Jade called, "Opal, are you there?" Lightning, listening carefully, they soon heard a muffled voice from the next room, where the octopus was sleeping. Lightning said, "That sounds like it could be Opal." They made their way back down the passage, floating silently as they went. Jade called out softly, "Opal, is that really you?" "Yes," replied the clown. Jade told Opal that they were there to rescue him and take him home. "Please hurry," called Opal. "I am so very frightened." When they opened the door, they found that the clown sat in the corner, but to their surprise there was no water filling this cabin. They quickly went inside, and Jade burst the bubbles so they could all take a better look. "Don't worry," said Sparky. "We will get you out of here." Opal sobbed. "I know that when we get outside the cabin, the octopus will wake up and you will all be trapped here too." Toby told him not to worry, that it would all be okay. Jade once again twitched her magic nose and they stepped into a new air bubble. But as they went outside the door, there was movement coming from the next room. "Oh no," squeaked Lightning. "The octopus is waking up." But before he could finish his sentence, there was a pure flash of light, and there stood before them was the evil wizard Wiz. "What are we going to do now?" Jade said nervously. When the wizard turned his back, Sparky swam by him, swimming faster than he had ever done before. He found Dream Chaser. "We need your help. Please get a message to King Zeptune. The evil wizard has Jade and her friends trapped." As with all creatures, the dolphin had magical powers. He could send a message just by thinking it. The message he sent to King Zeptune was, "King Zeptune, Jade needs your help. She is trapped." Back in the cave, Princess Moonshadow was talking with King Zeptune, when suddenly he said, "Moonshadow, Jade and her friends are in trouble. I must go." The king started to glide through the water at such a speed that he was out of sight within seconds, leaving just a trail of sand behind him. When he arrived at the wreck, he saw Dream Chaser and asked him what had happened. The dolphin informed him that the octopus was really the evil wizard Wiz in disguise. King Zeptune swam into the wreck and found that Wiz had indeed got them trapped inside the cabin. Suddenly the king roared, "Wiz, what are you doing? Leave them alone." The wizard spun round to find King Zeptune standing right behind him. Wiz was angry at such an intrusion and started to wave his magic wand in temper. "How dare you come into my ship?" "Leave them alone," the king roared once again. The wizard started to cast a spell, but Sparky, who had hidden out of sight, swam up behind him and snatched the wand away. "Good work," said the king. Sparky passed the wand over to King Zeptune and swam over to the cabin with Jade and her friends. Waving the wand, the king cast a spell of his own that turned the wizard into stone. Sparky shouted through the door, "It's all right now. We will have you out very soon." It wasn't long before the door flew open, and the frightened friends were huddled in the corner together. "You can come out now. It is safe, and I will take you back to my cave," said the king. Jade was very happy to be free, as she had never been so frightened in all her life. As they all followed King Zeptune out of the wreck, they saw Dream Chaser waiting to greet them, and they all returned to the cave where the Princess Moonshadow was waiting to welcome them back. After a short rest, the princess said she would take them back to the rocks where they had met. So they said goodbye to the king and thanked him for all his help. Goodbye, he said. Good luck with the rest of your journey. As they swam with Princess Moonshadow and Dream Chaser back to the rocks, they waved goodbye to all their newfound friends, smiling as they went. They could hear the seahorses singing, "The evil wizard is no more. He has been turned to stone. Hooray!" Jade felt pleased with herself and her friends for finding Opal. She turned to him and said, "Your friends will be so happy to see you. They have all missed you so much." "I have really missed them too," Opal replied, adding, "It has been such a long time." They could see the rock in the distance and knew that they would soon be on dry land, which really pleased Toby. He wasn't keen on water at the best of times. When they reached the rock, Jade turned to the princess and said, "Thank you so much for helping us in finding our friend. We could not have done it without your help, and thank you, Dream Chaser, for all you did too." It was time to go, and much to Lightning's surprise, the cloud they had left on the shore was still waiting there for them. They all jumped on, and it started to float them back to the land of the lost clowns. As they were drifting back, Lightning told them that they still had the magic wand, and maybe they could use it to get back home. Opal smiled at the unicorn and said, "I think it should be thrown back into the ocean and been forgotten about, don't you? It might cause more trouble than it's worth." They all quickly agreed. Jade didn't hesitate as she threw it into the water. "Well done," said Opal. Once back over dry land, they headed towards the big sign they had seen when they first arrived. Opal sighed. "It has been a long time since I have been here." Jade tapped her foot gently, and they returned to the ground. As they all jumped off, the cloud rose back up into the sky. Jade could see Glitter and called out to him, "Glitter, we have found Opal. He is safe now." Glitter came running towards them, and Jade threw his arms around her, saying, well done indeed." Jade looked curiously at the overjoyed clown and told him that now the evil wizard had been turned to stone, they could all go back to the circus from which they came. Then, with a sad look on his face, Glitter said, "Our acts are finished now, but Opal must be returned to his show. It's only halfway through. There will be other times." Lightning looked up. "How very sad," he said. Opal smiled and said, Please take me home to where I belong." Jade twitched her magic nose, and before they knew what was happening, they were all travelling through the tunnel. But this time it was different. The tunnel wasn't dark anymore. Now there was a bright light showing them the way back through. As they approached the end of the tunnel, they could hear the music of the circus playing really loudly. They landed with another big thump. Opal's three friends were standing there with silly big grins on their faces. Goldie, Sapphire and Topaz were so pleased they began tumbling around with excitement, shouting, "Welcome home, Opal." Jade was happy, but inside she felt a little sad, because now they had found Opal, it had made up the 4 clowns for the act. She so desperately wanted to be a clown, but because she was a polite little dragon, she didn't say anything. The 4 clowns had already guessed what was the matter with Jade, and they took her to one side and asked her if she could help them out for the last show before they left the kingdom of fantasy and make-believe until next year. "Yes, please, I would love it if I can," she said, jumping up and down. Sapphire took Jade by the hand and led her into the dressing room. Jade asked if she could wear a big red nose like her daddy had worn. Sapphire handed her a costume and said, of course, it was the least they could do. Jade's face lit up with excitement. She heard the call to the ring, and after placing on her red nose, she waited with Goldie, Sapphire, Topaz and Opal to make her entrance through those big pink curtains. Sat in the front row, she could see her mummy and daddy watching her with a big smile on their face. It was her dream coming true. Jade hadn't known it, but while they had been searching for Opal, The three clowns had gone to her home and asked her parents if they would come to the show that night. Jade was throwing water on everyone, including her best friend in the whole world. She was happy now because her dream had finally come true after all. For the last time at the end of the act, she looked up at her daddy and smiled a smile that lit the whole tent. When the show had finished, they had gone backstage. The ringmaster announced that the fifth clown that was in the act was a very special friend, and that without her, the show would not have been able to go on tonight. With that, everybody started clapping and cheering as loud as they could. Jade's parents peeked behind the curtains and said, "We are so proud of you, Jade. You are such a special little dragon, and you are our star." Jade thanked Stargazer for letting her perform and thanked the clowns for everything they had done. Then she took hold of her daddy's hand and made her way back through the Forest of Wonder and back home to bed. Lightning was following behind, feeling very proud of his best friend.